Greetings and welcome back to Doctor Who Revisited, where I go through every single episode of Doctor Who from 1963 all the way to 2025 and review them. And now we are on to State of Decay, the second episode in the what is sometimes referred to by some people as the E-Space trilogy. We're continuing with the E-Space saga of the Doctor and Romana trapped in another universe, trying to find a way to get back to their regular universe. And lo and behold, they landed on another planet. Just when they were starting to think that maybe they could start to get comfortable in this new E-Space and, travel in that area and explore, they landed on probably one of the worst planets they could have landed on in all of E-Space. But they don't know that yet, because at first, things seem a bit normal, a bit average, an average Doctor Who story, an average Doctor Who adventure. They landed on this forested area, which, by the way, again, I said this about the previous episode, but I loved the shooting locations that they're using for this season, or at least for this trilogy. The next one, it is what it is, but for Full Circle and for State of Decay, they chose really good shooting locations. They shoot it in a forest, a gloomy, dark forest that, sometimes there's sunlight in it, but for the most part, there isn't. And then there's this creepy looking village and a spooky looking tower, a castle, whatever you want to call it. And oh yeah, there's vampires in it. This is a very horror-filled episode. Why am I making such a big deal out of it? Well, through a series of accidents and scheduling issues and whatnot, and certain reviews of episodes, the footage getting deleted, and I had to go back and rewatch some of the episodes that I've already seen. Somehow through all of that, it is by complete coincidence, I did not plan this ahead of time, I have watched this episode, and I am now recording the review for that episode on Halloween. Yeah. So yeah, this is essentially a Halloween special, even though it's probably not going to get uploaded to YouTube on Halloween. This thing is way too small for my ginormous head, but I'll try to keep this thing on my head for the entire review. So yeah, this is essentially my Halloween special, and wouldn't you know it, this is one of those episodes that are specifically tailor-made for Halloween. I don't even know when this episode came out originally, but somehow I don't think it was on Halloween night. Okay, I just looked it up, and it wasn't. It wasn't released on Halloween. It was released between November and December. So there goes that part of my theory. But either way, this episode just is so incredibly atmospheric. I love this episode, and I love it even more so the fact that I somehow, through the weird way the Web of Time works, I got to actually watch it on Halloween. And actually, this was my Halloween celebration, because I don't actually celebrate Halloween, so it's kind of nice for that it happened. But like, the entire episode, start to finish, from the aforementioned shooting location, from the way the tower, the castle, ship thing is designed, from the costume design, the makeup on the three-head vampires we see in the episode. And even the main guy, the Zargo, whatever his name is, the design of his beard, it's all incredibly, very atmospheric, very gothic, very vampiric, almost, on purpose, because it's literally an episode about vampires. And, it only took Doctor Who 18 seasons to actually do an episode about vampires. And boy, did they not disappoint. I mean, they didn't just do an episode about vampires. they went full out on the whole vampire ness in Doctor Who, even going so far as to suggest that the vampires are actually the ancient enemies of the Time Lords, going into war with the universe during a time when even Rassilon was young. And there's so much lore and mythology explored in this episode, and it's chef's kiss. I know I said this about a lot of episodes in Doctor Who, especially in the Fourth Doctor era, but I mean, the Fourth Doctor era was just perfect for this kind of lore exploration of, and I always said this, I love everything that has to do with ancient Gallifrey and with Gallifreyan lore and history. I eat it up. I just love it. And to have an episode essentially devoted to this type of idea of ancient Gallifrey and the ancient wars against the great vampires, it's fascinating to me, the idea of bow ships and how essentially all vampire stories in the universe, on all vampire folklore, essentially came from those ancient vampires that the Time Lords vanquished. I love this idea. I love that like what we think about vampires, but what we stupid little humans know about vampires, it's actually a watered down, distilled version of the real thing. It's incredible to me, and what I love about this is the episode even suggests that nearly all civilized planets have stories about vampires for that particular reason. Even in E-Space, because apparently Adric mentions vampires. So apparently, even in E-Space, there's an element of vampire stories and vampire legends, and I love it. I love how they tied it all together with this one episode. It's fascinating to me, and it also ties it in with one of the classic, true, quintessential elements of Doctor Who, of like an advanced civilization devolving into a primitive state, with like they landed a ship on a mysterious planet by accident, and even though the pilot, the main navigator, and I think the science officer, I think is the third one, even though they basically survived and lived for 1,000 years, the rest of the crew became the ancestors of the villagers and the guards and all the other people that make up this strange planet. Which, by the way, I don't even think we get a name for the planet. I probably should have looked that up ahead of time, but again, it's taking these classic Doctor Who elements and just inserting vampires in it in a way that makes sense. I love that, and I love that they kept the modernized technology hidden in the cave somewhere. So it's not, again, with Doctor Who, nothing is ever quite as it appears to be, and slowly you get the hints of like, there's the walkie-talkie communicator and there's a computer screen, and slowly, very slowly and steadily, you get hit with the fact that there's more to the story than meets the eye. Then the design of the main tower actually makes sense, because it literally looks like a massive spaceship, an Earth-designed spaceship, and there's like a whole council room, and like the main flight deck was converted and adapted to a throne room, a medieval style throne room. It's great. I love it when Doctor Who goes to these types of directions. Even one of the main episodes, I guess, the captain's quarters still has that, the card reader that opens the door automatically. So they kept it all these years. I just love it. I love it when Doctor Who goes there. Obviously, I talked endlessly about it with the whole Leela situation, and how the Seva team and the Tesh originated from the survey team and the technicians. I love when Doctor Who does this kind of stuff. Now, as for the main characters in the episode, I think most of them are kind of redundant. I mean, it's an interesting setup with the selection that the guards go into the villages, and to the village, I should say, and randomly pick out the best of the best to get harvested by the vampire people, and there's an underground resistance going into or rather planning to attack the vampires, but never actually do anything. The lords, I guess I should say them. I should call them, but they hardly ever do anything. They're kind of irrelevant, and the main village and the people in the village are kind of forgotten after the second episode or so, except the guy Ivo, I guess, is the one guy that is relevant to the rest of the story. And the rest of the rebels, most of them are barely even mentioned by name, except the one guy Tarek that actually goes in to save the Doctor and Romana, and the other guy Kalmar, who basically is like a leader from afar. He's just sitting there in the cave monitoring everything, while all the others are the ones actually doing the infiltration and the attack. So yeah, those minor characters are kind of pointless in the episode. The majority of the episode focuses on the main lords in the episode, the vampires, Zargo, Camilla, and Alcon. I always struggle to pronounce the guy's name, but they're incredible, from their costume design to their makeup to the acting. It's spectacular, and I love it. I love the scenes that they share with the Doctor Ramon. I mean, basically, you can kind of remove all the rest of the villagers and, for lack of a better word, the riffraff away from the episode, and just have the episode focus on these guys and their struggle with the Doctor and Romana, and the rest of the episode really just flows. I mean, it's electrifying to see this kind of chemistry on screen, and oh yeah, there's some villagers and some rebels, yeah, who cares? And now we get to a bit of a controversial part of the episode, where we have to talk about Adric, said for the first time, and definitely not the last. Yeah, I remember last video about this, I mentioned how in the previous episode, Adric actually proves his worth. This episode, not so much. I mean, he just wanders off into the village, looking for the Doctor. Immediately gets into trouble, gets taken. I mean, the Doctor and Romana don't even know the guy is even in the episode until the halfway point. I mean, until like episode 3. Now, he does have a cool scene where he manages to trick K9 with logic. That, I think, was pretty cool, but then after that, everything just falls apart with this guy. And, he gets captured by the vampires, put in a trance, and the episode kind of stalls because Romana and Tarek have to go save him. And when they finally do save him, he's kind of ungrateful. He's kind of being a bit of a prick, which is what that character is mostly known for in most Doctor Who circles. And I don't buy for a second that he was just playing a bluff, saying, take her. Why are you taking me? I'm supposed to be the chosen one. Why am I being chained and stuff like that? I don't buy that for a second, that he was a bluff. He was bluffing. The guy was just weighing his options, in my opinion, just trying to see which side is better for him to side with for his own survival. But I mean, he does kind of save Romana by the end. So yeah. And also, I mean, like, the stupid, like, don't worry, I have a plan. It was all just a big bluff. I have a plan to get out. What's his plan? He just charges at the guy with the knife and immediately gets hypnotized to drop it. So yeah, great plan, Adric. Well done. The only one who really does have a plan in this episode is the Doctor. And oh my goodness, this is a world-class performance by Tom Baker in this episode. First of all, I love that they shoved in some more stuff about the Hermit, which we learned a lot about during the John Pertwee era. Always love when the Hermit gets a mention. Sadly, he doesn't get to do that all that often past the John Pertwee era. But I loved. I mean, I really did get a lot of vibes of the John Pertwee, Katie Manning, the Third Doctor, and Joe Grant in this episode. In that scene where the Doctor and Romana were trapped by the vampires. I loved that scene. Just the chemistry between Tom Baker and Lalla Ward is, I used that word and already, and I'll say it again, electrifying. It's incredible to watch. I love seeing that. It's the same type of chemistry that they displayed in City of Death. It's amazing. It's so fun to see. And then the Doctor goes in the TARDIS and does some research about the vampires, and like the look on his face, the conviction, the fear of what the vampires are. And it's like you really get a sense that all Time Lords genuinely fear vampires, and you get a sense of that bit of fear and dread all throughout the episode. The more and more the Doctor and Romana find stuff about the vampires, and like it all culminates in just having a gigantic king vampire living under the underground, under the castle tower rocket thing. It's incredible. I love all the atmospheric, for lack of a better word, the vampire-ness of the episode. It's amazing. I love it. This is when the horror-centric Doctor Who episodes really hit home for me. And how do you stop a vampire? How do you defeat a vampire? Well, the Doctor Who lore introduces the idea of bow ships that basically shoot giant metal spears through the vampires' hearts, killing them, which is a sort of a variation on the whole wooden stake through the heart thing. Whatever, I mean, it's Time Lords, so basically they're the originators of that idea. But I mean, you don't have bow ships, you don't have a giant metal steel spear. What do? The Doctor just launches one of the scout ships, which is already has this pointy shape. He fires it into space and sends it on basically a boomerang course to go up and down straight into the giant vampire's heart, and the other vampire lords just age to death seconds after that happens. What a creative way to end it. I mean, like, how do you kill a giant vampire? With a giant steel stake, apparently. And, oh look, you just happen to have one lying around. The whole episode is just a joy to watch. Easily, by far, my favorite of the three episodes of E-Space. And, yeah, I just laid out all the reasons why in this review. I think I just talked about all I needed to say. I guess I could have used a little more K9 in the episode. I understand why they limited his appearance in this episode. But, I mean, again, we're going to get a plenty of K9 in the next episode, which is unfortunately going to be the last we'll see of K9 for a while, at least. Which is unfortunate, but hey, that is the nature of Doctor Who. Companions come and companions go. So anyways, that was a lot of fun. I really enjoyed this episode. Definitely a very good episode to watch on Halloween for those of you who celebrate it. Yeah, next up is, of course, Warrior's Gate, the third and final episode in the E-Space trilogy. And yeah, not much else to say about that. I cannot wait to get this thing off my head because it's stupid and it keeps falling off. But yeah, let me know what you think about this episode, and I'll see you in the next one. So goodbye for now. And even though this episode will be uploaded several weeks from now, from when I'm recording it, still, happy Halloween. Goodbye. Hello again. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed it, don't forget to subscribe, hit that like button, and leave a comment. See you next time.